Now I'm going to show you what is the most important feature on this folding karambit knife. And what that feature is the wave feature. And this wave feature is a patented device from Emerson Knives, and it's a design element that allows you to use this knife and to be able to get it into action as quickly as a fixed blade knife. So we're going to take a look at this wave, and I'll show you exactly what it is. Right here, off the thumb ramp, is a little hook. You can see that. Now I'm going to show you how that wave feature actually works, and you're going to be able to see it in action. Now, with the knife carried in the conventional right-hand carry mode, I can reach down in, slip my thumb behind the handle, grab the front part of the clip, pull the blade out, and it opens the blade automatically. I'll show you that again. Reach in, knife is open. Now how does that work? Real slowly. It is the fastest deploying knife in the world because there's no fumbling around with it. Reach in to get it out and it's ready to use. Now I'm going to show you a couple of the other options that we use with the different clip variations so that you can see how you can use the wave carrying it in those ways that I just showed you. If you were to carry the blade with the clip on the other side, pushed forward into the pocket, you pull the knife out, it's ready to use in a reverse grip. Just that quick. It's in the pocket, reach in, thumb goes behind the handle, fingers go on the clip, knife's ready to use. It's in a strong reverse grip. Now I'll show you that same motion on the other side. Now, I've got the knife mounted, the clip on that side, pushed back into the back of the pocket, thumb goes in behind the blade, pinched, knife's ready to use. Now I flip the clip around, put it on the other side. Knife goes in towards the front of the pocket. It's out, reverse grip. This wave feature is found only on Emerson Knives, and it actually is the key to why we wanted to produce this course and do this series on the folding karambit, because you've never been able to have a folding knife that had the features that this knife has before. Now, what this wave feature does is it makes this knife as quick as a fixed blade, faster than a switchblade, and it's ready to use the minute it comes out of your pocket. There's no knife on earth faster out of the pocket and ready to use than this knife. Now I've showed you how to use this knife going in and out of your pocket when you use the wave feature to open it both on your right side and your left side, but there's also an option available with this wave feature that doesn't have to be in your pocket in order to open the knife. Let's say you're in a car accident or you're wrapped up in, tangled up in a bunch of gear or something, you've been knocked down, you're on the ground, you don't have the ability to pull the knife out and flip it out of your pocket, but you have it in your hand and you want to open it up. Let's say your thumb is injured and you don't have a pinch grip. Well, I can actually hold this knife, not even using my thumb, but by just hooking that blade on something on my clothing, I can open that knife up. Okay? And if you notice, my thumb isn't even contacting the knife. I just have it literally between my fingers, and I can still open that knife up and use it. So this gives you an option on how to use that wave opening feature. Don't think that you can only use it when it's inside your pocket. We've shown you a lot of different opening methods for the karambit knife, and you can apply these to actually other folding knives in general. Now we're going to show you a little option. It's called a silent opening method. Now when would you want to use a silent opening method? Well, let's say for example I come out into the parking lot of a mall. I'm walking towards my car, I see some people coming towards me, and they're not the most savory looking people, and I don't know if they're just going to pass by, they just happen to be dressed real scruffy, or maybe they're bad guys with the intent to do some harm to some people, maybe they're going to rob somebody or whatever. I look at these situations and go, okay, how do I prepare myself for that? Well, I don't want to pull a knife out and be walking out in the middle of the mall looking like I'm ready to fight somebody, but I want to be ready in case something happens, because as you know, an attack happens with an element of surprise to it. You don't want to be caught off guard. So let's just say you walk out, You see something, you think it might be potentially a dangerous situation, but you don't want to key the bad guys that you're ready to fight. You want to allow this situation to play out because they might just walk right by. You won't have to have this knife out and visible to use. But you can use the silent opening method to have this knife out, ready, raring to go if it needs to go. Now how does that work? I'm going to show you something here on the blade. Now when a knife opens up, it makes an audible sound as the spring clicks in behind the blade. You can hear it actually in a parking lot, in a parking structure. You can hear it for a long ways because it has a tendency to bounce up and down off the ceiling. So even though it doesn't sound like a lot of noise, a click like that can be picked up from quite a ways away, and you just want to, play your hand. So why does it make that click? Well, it makes that click because as the blade opens up, that spring slips over behind the blade. It makes that noise when it contacts the back of the blade. Knife opens up, spring clicks over. So how do I stop this noise? Well, the only way to do it is to put something in the way of that spring so that when the knife is opened up, my finger's in the way, I can let the spring over slowly without any noise. Knife opens up, fingers in the way, let the spring over, no noise. Now I'm showing you how to do that with two hands just for the purposes of illustrating it here for the camera. But how do I actually do this in real life? Well, here's how it's done. You're going to do it with one hand. And what you're going to do is you're going to pull the knife out, and as I'm walking this way, I would pull it out when my left leg here is forward, so this kind of portion of my body is shielded, and these guys are off in this direction over here. They can't see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the knife out. I'll slide it down the back of my leg. I will open the blade up with my finger in the way, and the knife's ready to use. No noise. Pull the knife out, slide it down behind my leg, open the blade up, fingers in the way, no noise. Now how did I do that? Well, how I did that with one hand, I'm going to try and show you here for the camera, is as I was opening the blade up, I had this finger that is now pulling this direction, the opposite direction of the blade. So as I open it up, I let that finger loose, and it holds that spring back until I want to release it. Takes a little bit of practice. You get the blade partially open, get that finger in there in the way of the spring, opens up, no noise. One more time. And this is not a speed deployment. It's done kind of in a stealthy manner, so you're not after quickness with this, because you know something's coming, you're getting ready for it, so time is on your side. Blades open, no noise. I'm going to show you some drills, single hand drills, that allow you to use this knife and do some of the spinning combinations and things like that. I want you to practice these things so that you get the feel of what it's like to have this knife spinning around in your hand. We're going to start with just some very, very simple drills. I'm going to start out with a simple spinning drill where the knife is just spinning around on your finger. Just wanted you to get the feel of that, okay? Now that time it was spinning away from me. Now I'm going to spin the knife backwards towards me. Just get the feel of it. Drills that you can do if you have your pinky inserted through the hole in the handle. It's a little bit more difficult to do. It takes a little bit of practice. Now we're going to take some of these spinning techniques that you've learned, and we're going to kind of free flow with them and just start to use them with a little bit of movement so that you can get the feel of this knife in your hand while it's in motion. Before we were standing basically stationary and doing the spinning drills. Now we're going to be using our hands and our free hand and our knife hand, and we're going to do these spinning drills while it's moving. Okay? What I'm going to show you now is just a little bit of free flow with the spinning combinations that we can do. So we'll just call it a basic single hand spinning drill. You get into a fighting stance so you're ready, and we're just going to go through some of the spinning manipulations on this. Just at a freelance, pretty much 3/4 to full speed, depending on where you're at, till you get familiar with it. You can build yourself up till you get to the rate of speed you're comfortable with. Now we're going to take that same spinning drill, we're going to add a couple more things to it. We're going to add in some cuts with it. So in the middle of me spinning, I'm going to cut, okay? So I'm spinning, cut. Okay? We'll do it nice and slow motion so you can kind of see what's going on, and then we'll speed it up. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be cutting with the blade. Bang. Okay? Making my cuts. At the same time, I'm going to be doing some grip spinning manipulation drills in the middle of my cuts. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to start taking these things and kind of melding them together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you a little bit step up. We're going to add the combinations of the rear hand into this so that you're now starting to use this hand to cut, to spin, and then throw in some of the combinations from the rear hand. We're going to just start adding weapons and weapons and weapons so that when we get to the advanced tape and we start putting all those combinations together, you're going to have a whole bunch of weapons coming out at the same time. Even though you have a knife in your hand, you've still got all these other pieces of artillery in your arsenal. So here we go. What you can do is you can strike out, spin, cut, punch with the rear hand, do a hook cut with the front hand, do a punch with the front hand, do a punch with the rear hand, do a combo spin and cut, punch. Those are the things that I'm going to try and get you guys to kind of start to put together and mold together into one cohesive function. Okay? So you're punching, bam, 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 you're cutting, bam, 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 bang. Cut, 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 punch, cut, punch, cut, 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 punch, punch, spin, 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 punch, bang, 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 bam, bam, boom, boom. Start to put those combinations together, okay? Show you in a little bit more speeded up version. Now I'm going to show you a very, very efficient drill. Actually has a combat application. We call it figure 8 drills. And all it is you're moving the knife back and forth in a figure 8. Now, when we get this speeded up, and when you guys are really good at it, the way that I want you to think of it is that if someone's coming at you, You've just started a lawnmower, picked the lawnmower up, and you're holding it out in front of you, and that blade's spinning around. So anything that anybody reaches in to try and grab you or punch you, they're going to get hit by that blade. Okay? So think of it as an inverted lawnmower, but we're going to call it a figure eight. So what you do is you just take the knife, and to start the drill, I do nice, long, exaggerated, flowing moves. You got to have a little bit of flexibility in your wrist and your shoulders. You can see my hips moving back and forth a little bit. Nice, flowing drill. Okay? And you have to practice this for a while. It's not a real exotic thing, but I'll tell you what, in a real fight, it's super, super effective. Nobody wants to come near anyone. And as you get a little bit better with it, you can tighten it up. Really what you want to defend is you want to defend from this shoulder to this shoulder. Anything else outside of there, there's no need for me to cut anything out in here. For the sake of the drill, I'm exaggerating. I'm going outside of my shoulders a little bit. But in reality, it's real tight, and it's in here. You can move it up and down. You can go all the way down to the floor if you want. It's called the figure eight. It takes a lot of practice to get it down right, to be able to do it fluidly, and to do it fast. Okay? Now I'm going to show you that same drill, the figure eight drill, with a reverse grip. Might even be a little easier because your wrist has got a little bit more range of motion for some reason holding it in reverse grip. Again, you start out, feel your hips shifting back and forth. Nice exaggerated figure eight motion. As you get better, tighten it up. Up, down, up, down. Faster. Figure eight drills. Just to show you where the figure eight drill occurs in relation to your body, it's about this far out. Anything that's out here, I don't want to be reaching way out there to try and cut it. I only want to reach and cut it when it's close enough to do me some harm. Okay? I'm not going to reach out and try and do something out here. I'm going to keep it in tight. Because all I have to do is move just a little bit to protect myself when my hands are in tight. But if my hands are out here, I've got to move them quite a bit to get in the way of something that's coming at me. So the figure eight drill is held pretty tight to the body. Probably a distance of about a foot maximum from my chest to the spine of that knife. Figure eight drills. Now, one of the most effective types of strikes that we can use with this knife, we call a snake bite. And really all that is just a short out and back. Boom. Boom. It's like a pecking action. It's like a cobra, if you think of a cobra up here, striking out like that. Boom. Only instead of teeth, we got the end of a knife blade out here. So what happens is when someone reaches in towards me, I'm not doing a big cut against their hand. I'm doing a real short little snap. We call it the snake bite. It's in and out. It's real quick. Again, I'm not extending way far out here to reach a weapon that isn't going to reach my body. I'm attacking it when it gets close enough to do harm to me. Now the thing about a snake bite is it's a very efficient move. It only has to move a grand total of about 12 to 14 inches. So it's quick and it gets right back, right up, ready to protect again. Okay, so you take this knife. We're going to start with a conventional grip. Pinky through the hole. It's a snake bite. Boom, 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 boom. And all it's doing is I'm not extending. Really, all I'm doing is I'm letting the elbow be the fulcrum, and the strike is going like that. Bam, 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 bam. Okay? body mechanics do come into play because you're moving around a little bit and you do get a little bit of a hip motion in it and maybe a little bit of shoulder action. But if you think in terms of it's just rotating off this elbow, that's essentially what this strike is. So your hands are in a ready position. It's just snap out, snake bite. Boom, 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 boom. Anything that comes close, boom. Real efficient move, boom, boom. So you get fast, boom. Anytime a weapon comes in, you give it a shot. Boom! And it's right up here ready to protect again. Boom! From the front, knife is here. Boom! Boom! It's protecting what's coming into this area, anything that can come into contact here. It's not going after anything that's going to miss and hit out here or anything that's going to hit out here. It's protecting this area right in here. Someone's stabbing at you, striking straight at you, even stabbing at you, swinging at you like this. As that knife comes into range, boom, 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 you strike at it, boom. It can be high, medium, low. Someone goes to kick at you, boom, right in the calf. Makes them think twice about throwing another kick. Snake bite. Now we're going to move on to some double knife drills. And these drills are to prepare you for what we're going to do in the advanced tape when you actually get into using the two knives in application against an opponent. And again, these are drills. Are you going to do this in real life? Maybe not. But the point is, the better you get at these drills, the better you get at being able to use these techniques in a real fight. Okay? So sometimes you're going to look at it and go, what's the point of doing that? In the long run, all of the exercises add up to being a better performer. Does it do me good to bench press? Is that a fighting technique? Does it do me good to do squats? Is that a fighting technique? No. Technically, they're not related. But what they're doing is they're building strength, which I can then draw upon to use in a real fight. It's the same thing with these drills. If any of you guys have ever been through one of my classes, you will understand that I place a huge amount of importance on footwork. Footwork is not fighting, but you can't fight unless you have correct footwork. So I get really involved in what I call the fundamentals, the brick building, the layering up of the wall, so that you can use these skills that you're learning as they apply to fighting later. That's what we're going to do right now. We're going to go through a couple of the double knife drills so that you can use these later when we get into the advanced techniques where we're actually fighting with the two knives. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to practice just drawing the knife out, using the wave action, getting up and ready. We're just going to go through that drill a few times. Now, as you notice, I'm using the knives in a conventional carry and a conventional draw that put me into a saber grip. Okay? Just for the technique. Just doing the drills. Get them up and ready to go. Boom, boom, boom. Here's what happens. I practice with my strong hand all by itself. I practice with my left hand all by itself. It takes a lot longer for this left side to get the skills. It takes longer for the neural pathways and everything to be burned when you're doing it as a single technique. But when you do techniques to train for your left hand at the same time doing your right hand, your brain is already connected to use the right hand method. What it does is it pulls this left hand learning curve along faster with it. So I don't specifically sit and do left-hand drawing exercises, although I have, but what I'm saying is what I want you guys to be able to do is get the most out of the time that you spend in your training. So what I would suggest is when you're doing left-hand techniques, that you're doing a right-hand technique and you're mirror imaging it, because it'll pull this left-hand skill level up a lot faster than if you're trying to do everything by itself with your left hand. Up and ready. Always practice with your hands in an up and ready position, no matter what. because one of the things that we want to do is we want to be sure that whenever you're threatened, whenever you perceive something that's going to happen to you, that your hands are already going to be ready to get up there. Because the first thing I have to do, if someone takes a swing at me, boom, I don't want them to hit me and potentially knock me out. I want to block it first, then go get my weapons out, okay? That's a key factor here. If someone's coming at me and swinging, and I don't know if I'm going to have time to get my weapon out by the time it gets to me. In other words, if someone's running across the room, that's one thing. But if I'm standing here and I see something, wham, it's coming at me, someone's taking a poke at me or a sucker punch, and I happen to catch just enough wind of it that I can react to it, I want to block it first to prevent the initial damage, then go for my weapons draw, okay? Because it doesn't do me any good to be able to draw these weapons out if I'm laying on the floor with a broken jaw, maybe KO'd, all right? Always practice everything with your hands up. This is the starting position. This is not the starting position. Hands up in a ready position. Boom. Draw. Now we're going to practice with the knives in the reverse grip draw position. My hands are up and ready. Reach down. Pull the knives up. Ready to fight. Ready position. Knives are up, ready to fight. One more time. And I'm ready to go. Now we're going to move into some of the spinning techniques using both hands. So we're going to have the knife in a spinning grip, which would mean that my index finger is going to be through the hole of the handle. Ready position. Just spin the knives out, spin the knives back. Now we're going to get into a couple of the cutting drills, okay? And since these knives are designed to mimic the claws of a tiger, I want you to think in terms of what a cat or a tiger does. And if you have a house cat or a pet, you've probably seen your cat grab onto something and with its rear feet start digging at it like that. Well, it's the same thing that a tiger does. It's the same thing that the big cats do. When they get an animal and they get him into a down position, they grab down to the neck, can control it, they start to tear away at the midsection of the animal. Well, these function just the same as these tiger claws or cat's paws do. We're going to call this one the tiger gut. And what it is, again, I'm giving you techniques and drills that are easy and efficient and retainable. You can learn them. You don't have to practice for hours and hours to be able to do them. So I'm going to show you some of these right now. What this is called is the tiger gut, and all it is a continuous cutting motion. It's going straight down the middle. Okay? And what you have to do is you just have to practice this, get this motion down, because what's going to happen is I'm not going to, in reality, if I were to use this, this is actually a fighting technique, and it works extremely well, and I've used it in boxing type scenarios. It's called a forward blast. It comes from Jeet Kune Do. But because Bruce was so good at developing these fighting techniques, he was actually tapping into the universal truths and things that are just natural movements and more efficient, and he was a master at that. That's what made Bruce Lee who he is. Well, we can apply those same kind of ideas and principles to what we're doing with these knives, and that forward blast is very effective. Think how effective it is now that we've got knives in our hands, okay? But right now we're thinking in terms of what a tiger is doing to an animal with those claws, okay? So you're just going in a striking motion. If you want to do this and then just tighten it up, and I'm coming down with the blade, because that's what this knife is so efficient at doing, is cutting in these small circular motions. Tiger gut. Since we're in the reverse grip now, and we just finished up a few minutes ago with the tiger gut, we're going to call this one the buzz saw. Before we were going down in a punching motion, now we're going to be going up in an uppercut motion. Principle's the same. Someone's in front of you, you're digging away like this. Knife's coming up, it's cutting back, cutting up and back, cutting up and back, cutting up and back. I'm exaggerating the motion so you can just get the feel of what this knife is supposed to do. In reality, they're nice little short strokes out here, okay? Again, just get the feel. You can exaggerate it, get that motion down. You can start to tighten it up. Go at the speed you like. Buzzsaw. Now we're going to move the knives into a reverse grip again. We're going to practice a little drill, which I call the spinning cut. Knife goes out, spins, comes back around into my hand. So I'm coming out, knife is being extended, spinning, comes back into my hand. Both the left hand and the right hand. Nice little drill just to get the feel of that. Just go at a speed that works for you. Speed it up later. Spin cuts. Another variation on this side cut that we were doing is the uppercut spin cut. So essentially I'm throwing an uppercut, boom, boom, but I'm spinning the knife up as I'm coming up. Boom, boom, boom. Okay? Real simple, nice and easy. Straight up the middle. If I exaggerate it into the real uppercut, see my hips, my body moving into it. Uppercuts, double knife. Now to do these strikes efficiently with the most power and the correct body mechanics, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to start employing the use of your hips, the swing of your hips, because that's what brings the power into the strike, along with the shoulders and along with the motion of the arms. So I'm going to exaggerate the body mechanics for you, and we're going to go through that a couple times. You can see my hips turning. same motion as throwing a baseball. Okay? That is the number one strike with the exaggerated body mechanics. In reality, I'm only traveling from here to here because there's no need for my strike to end up out here, and there's no need for my strike to start up here. I'm in a ready position, and it can come right back up into an on-guard position quickly, okay? Now, we move on to a number 2 strike. Number 2 strike is a diagonal going the other way. Watch my hips, watch my shoulders, and watch this arm as it comes through. I am whipping it down, whipping it down, whip. Diagonal motion. In reality, down and back, down and back. Okay? Number 2 strike. Now what we're going to do is we're going to develop this into a little bit of an exercise. We're going to go with number 1, number 2. Number 1, number 2. Number 1, number 2. Now why am I combining them? Well, number one reason, you never do a single technique. You'll never do a single technique in a fight. You do techniques in combination. You have to. You have to keep up the onslaught. You can't stop and regroup because he's just going to fire away at you. You have, once you've engaged the fire, you have to keep the pressure on. You can't let up. You cannot let him have an opening to get back at you. It's one of the things that I deal with, especially with novice boxers and things, is this. They don't throw combinations. They throw a punch. They throw a punch. They throw a punch. They don't throw punches. It's very, very hard. Even experienced boxers, it's hard to get them to throw combinations of punches, okay? If I want someone to learn how to throw 3 punches, I've got to practice combinations of 5 punches. In the ring, they'll throw 3. If I want them to learn how to throw punch combinations of 5, I got to have them do 7 punch combinations in training. So one of the same principle here is just because you got a knife in the hand doesn't change the principles of hand-to-hand combat. Principles are the same. They never change. Start doing things in combination. So we're going to do number 1, number 2. Number 1, number 2. Number 1, number 2. Start out with the exaggerated body mechanics because that will force you to pull yourself back into position. You can see what my hips are doing. My hands are swinging out here, gathering the momentum. Boom, boom. Short, boom. One, two. One, two. One, two. That's the way it happens in reality. 1, 2. Nice short. And back up, ready to go. Now we're going to add in a number 3. Number 3 is a parallel cut right along the front of the midsection. Flows parallel to the ground. Exaggerated body mechanics. Okay, in reality. Now, number 3. Get the feel of it. Now, in combination, 1, 2, 3. Exaggerated. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Notice my weight is shifting back, forth, back, and forth. 1, 2, 3. Shorten it up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Add the number 4. Back, across, hand going in the opposite direction, parallel to the ground. Exaggerated. Reality. I'm cutting from here to here, not cutting from here to here. There's nothing out there to hit. There's nothing out there to attack. Unless the blow is aimed in here, it's going to miss. Okay? Combination. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exaggerated. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Reality. Last strike, number 5. Straight out, boom, 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 boom. It's like a low jab. Bam. Straight out, boom, 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 boom. Okay? Exaggerated, boom, boom. Getting the hips into it, boom, boom. Okay? Combination. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are exaggerated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Reality. Reality. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What you're doing is you're just putting up a tremendous defense right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm only moving in a box about this big. Bam! I'm doing a whole bunch of cuts. Anybody that tries to get at me in there is going to get winged big time. Now we're going to do that same set of striking drills using a reverse grip, finger through the hole in the handle. Now this 1 through 5 strikes, it's going to involve a little bit of wrist motion on your part because you're going to have to flip your wrists over when you do these strikes. Now a good way to practice this is with a stick, because a stick gives you this feeling of motion, okay? And if you want to do it in a reverse grip, wow, it really forces you to turn your wrist over to get the proper feeling of the strike, okay? With a long stick like that, there's a lot of leverage. It's a good exercise for the forearm. You can do this with a piece of steel pipe, and you get a tremendous forearm workout, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? We're going to do it with a knife, but I recommend you practice with the sticks. Reverse grip. Strike number 1. Down and across. I'm exaggerating all of these. Down and across, number 1. Number 2, back down and across. Number 1, down and across. Wrist flips over. Knife blade is dragged back across the center. Cross for number 2. 1, flip over, number 2. Going for the number 3, wrist flips over again. Comes across parallel to the ground. 1, flips over, number 2, flips over, number 3. 1, flips over, number 2, flips over, number 3. 1, 2, 3, flips over and comes straight back across the middle, number 4. 1, flip over, 2, flip over, 3, flip over, number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, last strike, number 5, it's a backhand. Boom. 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 Straight to the midsection. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the drill with a reverse grip. Now, one of the things that we want to stress in this course, and it's true of any of the courses that I teach, it's one of the foundation principles of what we do in reality-based hand-to-hand combat, never do anything that isn't absolutely necessary. I repeat, never do anything that is not absolutely necessary. There's a reason for that. Dealing with life or death. You have to do only what is effective, what is efficient, and what is necessary. For example, when I strike with the knife, there's a big difference between this strike and this strike. There's a big difference between this strike and that strike. Okay? I'm going to show you what those differences are. Now I'm going to show you the incorrect overreach and the correct strike when Mike is in range and he can actually contact me with the knife blade. So what he's going to do is when Mike throws a strike and I overreach, I'm going to be out here reaching way up into his arm. His momentum can literally, even if I cut him and cut him severely, his momentum can carry this knife blade through and do tremendous damage to me. Okay? We don't want that to happen. Now, the correct strike, when I'm in range and Mike's in range, and he throws a strike at me, boom, I get him with a snake bite, just a little tiny shot, bam, cuts the knife, my body's getting out of the way, boom, my knife is poised to strike again. All right? He throws a strike. He throws a strike. He throws a strike. Boom! I snake bite. The knife's right back up here, poised, ready to strike again. All right? So, Mike throws a strike. So, Mike throws a strike. That's the difference between efficiency and inefficiency. Now we're going to talk about range. What are the ranges of combat? Guys will use up all kinds of acronyms and different ways of describing it and all that. Basically, I'm going to describe it as you are out of range or you're within range, and that's it. If you're in range, it doesn't matter what distance it is, that means you can get tagged. If you're out of range, that means you can't get tagged. Right now I'm out of range, and Mike can't strike me with that stick. I'm in a safe zone. But if I move in a little bit, and he goes ahead and takes a swing at me now, he can hit me pretty hard. Okay? I'm in what you would call the sweet spot of this weapon. Just like in a baseball swing, you've got a sweet spot on the end of that bat where a guy can hit with the most power and most efficiency. Now, if I move in just another 6 inches and he takes a swing, I start to take away the power of that strike. Now, any of you who have ever played baseball know the difference between a nice, strong hit and a broken bat type single, where you're actually hitting the ball down here. Now, if you take a swing at me, Mike, boom, and I'm in here close, I don't get near the force on that blow that I got when I was out here. I can tell you that right now because my arm is stinging, okay? But when I'm in here, I'm starting to take away the efficiency of that weapon. Now, Mike, go ahead and take a swing again. It's even less efficient. And if he swings again, and I'm in here, go ahead and take a swing again. It's even less efficient, even more. Now, if he swings again, and I'm in here, we've taken away all the efficiency of that weapon. Now, why am I illustrating this in terms of knives? Because the principle is exactly the same. If I'm out here, I'll take that. Don't strike me with a knife. But if I'm out here, and he's swinging, boom, he's going ahead, and he's hitting me with the knife, bang, and I'm out in this area right in here, in the sweet spot of that knife, I'm going to get cut to ribbons, okay? Now, chances are, I will get cut no matter what happens. But if I stand out here and try and dance around with him, and he's swinging away, I stand no chance whatsoever. The principle is exactly the same as what I just showed you with that stick. He goes ahead to take a swing, boom, and I start to move inside, move inside, move inside, move inside. Pretty soon, the only thing he can do with that knife is poke me in the back with it, okay? That's a pretty safe place to get hit with the knife. There are things back there that can get damaged, but there's a lot more chance of me being damaged up front in this area. So what I'm doing essentially is the closer I get to Mike, the more I'm taking away the advantage of this weapon that he has, okay? Because number one, he can't use it however he wants, and he's going to have to start reacting to me, okay? It's a very, very important principle, and it's part of the basis of what the full hand-to-hand combat course is built on, but it's also the core for what this Karambit course is built on, because the principles are exactly the same.